All right, so today we're going to talk about how our practice or our arts help us in our everyday lives as well as in our healing practices or when we're dealing with anything as an illness. I'll go first. So, one of the practices that I use a lot is breath work. A lot of people don't necessarily know what breath work is, but it's in layman's terms, it's just consciously breathing, paying attention to your breath. Is a lot of different techniques that you can use, but the reason why I do a lot of breath work is because in 2019, I was diagnosed with blood clots in my leg and in my lungs, and it really messed up my capacity to breathe. Even after the clots cleared in my lungs, it still leaves scar tissue. So even though I could do running for cardio and things like that, it's just a lot harder for me to get back to the point that I was when I was training full time and when I was at the peak of my conditioning. So breath work really helps me expand my lung capacity as well as it brings mental clarity for me when I'm doing it through meditation as well. But definitely doing breath work just without even meditation helps me a lot to help me get my lung capacity back to where it was in 2019 when I had a good lung capacity. In my opinion, it was pretty good. But yeah, so if anybody doesn't know, when you get blood clots in your lungs, well, the doctor told me that's basically when most people die. But because I was in the condition that I was in training and stuff, I made it long enough to make it to the hospital for them to diagnose me. But it was a lot of blood clots. So from that point on, my breathing was more labored than it normally would be, even just walking up and down the steps. At 36 years old, it was hard for me to um, accept the limitations of a breathing issue or a lung issue. But it again, the clots weren't permanent. So once I got rid of the clots, I had to adapt and go heavy into my breathing techniques and my breath work, which really not only saved my life, but helped me regain and get back to where I am today.
So can I ask a question in regards to so breath work in general, without having to give so much detail, how would you describe what breath work is? What is exactly is that?
So again, it's just consciously breathing because one thing that a lot of people take for granted is that we just breathe automatically. And if you take your time and notice the way we breathe, we only use the top half of our lungs. We breathe what they call like into your chest. But we have four sections in our lungs, and we only use the top two. Um, a very easy breath work concept would just be deep belly breathing, which is using the bottom half of your lungs and expanding the bottom half of your lungs and using those to fill your lungs up with oxygen, with air, because we're really limiting ourselves. So, in layman's terms, it's just consciously breathing and paying attention to where the breath is going in your body and how you're using the breath.
Right. Thank you for that. So, if you don't mind, I could piggyback off of what you just said and kind of introduce everybody to myself, Sifu Lester from Tai Chi 360, and obviously here as well in the CCH 360 family. And all of us have a little bit of ourselves to share with you today. Myself, just like Aaron, dealt with some cardiovascular issues. Being a disabled veteran, I came back home with some unknown breathing issues. They couldn't really classify them, but I came near to death a couple times at home where I literally felt like I was on my last breath. But doing breath work, like Aaron just said, having that mindfulness of breath and being able to have a more efficient breath by breathing, as Aaron said, breathing from our belly and not breathing from the upper 1/3 portion of our body, we're able to move more oxygen. We're also able to remove more toxins from our body, and also we require a lot less breathing cycles, so we don't have to breathe as much and we're able to get more oxygen capacity. And that's what's so great about the breath work. So you don't have to breathe, like most people breathe 12 respirations per minute or more. But when I go to the doctor, I breathe less than that, not because I'm not breathing efficiently, but because of the direct opposite of that, because I learned how to breathe more efficiently. I can use what we call the tortoise breath, which is breathing through our nose and our mouth is closed in and out. We're able to bring in a lot more oxygen and take a lot less amount of breaths. So, and we can talk more about that later. And I also had a back injury, and doing the Tai Chi movement has helped me to actually heal my lower lumbar, L2, L3, were actually a herniated disc. That's the second thing. And the third thing, and then I'm going to stop. So back to the cardiovascular system. One of the valves in my heart does not close completely. So it's what they call a prolapse valve. And with a prolapse valve, that means that oftentimes blood can get left behind and it doesn't get removed and recycled and replenished, and it can become a blood clot. So that's a big worry for a lot of people. And they get shortness of breath. I don't. I have none of those issues. And one of the big reasons is because I've learned how to breathe from my belly, and our belly, the abdominal area, has about 1/3 of the blood capacity of your whole body. So if you're able to use your belly to help your heart breathe, you take a lot of stress off your heart. You're able to move a lot more oxygen and blood. So I'll pass the mic. Thank you.
Okay. I'll pick up a little bit here. Some of the research I've read about breathing is that if you're not conscious about your breathing, you only exchange 10 to 20% of the air in your lungs. So if you are only exchanging 10 to 20% of the air in your lungs, you're leaving 80 to 90% of the residual air still there that is not good and already used up. So by mindful breathing techniques, you can do a full exchange of air, and the results are what was just talked about by both Sifu Lester and Aaron. I noticed the difference with deep breathing or belly breathing or diaphragm breathing versus shallow breathing. And it is actually quite relaxing. It's very good to help regulate your heart rate. It gives you a chance to regulate parts of your system of your body. And you can actually regulate your pH level of your blood by different types of breathing techniques. So you can go alkaline or you can go acidic just by different type of breathing techniques. So that's been a big help for me. You know, generally breathing, you don't think about it, but just try holding your breath for a while. So I'll pass that on to Pam.
Okay, well, since we're on the subject of breathing, I can say that, yeah, just you're not really conscious of breathing every day, but I've made it my mission to pay attention to my breathing during the day, especially when you see you're getting into a stressful situation. You want to step back and say, I've got to start breathing, okay? Or breathing from the belly and not up here, all right? When I first started Tai Chi, I had asthma, and I probably still do, but I was on daily medication, inhaler, this, that. I mean, I just, you know, I had all kinds of triggers. But after I started taking Tai Chi, I learned to breathe properly, that diaphragmatic breathing. And eventually I weaned myself off of the medication. And to this day, you know, there are triggers out there, but I know what they are. And as soon as I see the triggers, I know to accommodate it with the deep breathing.
So I just have a quick question for
Mhm.
Dan and Pam, because I know Sifu Lester talked about his Tai Chi practice and how it helped his lower back injury. Has Tai Chi helped you guys with any other injuries or any other illnesses that you guys may have encountered in the time that you guys been practicing?
Dan, you wanna
I,
go first?
go ahead, Pam.
No, 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 you go first.
Okay. By the way, my name is Dan and I represent Martial Arts in Motion. That's how I got introduced to Tai Chi, was through a back injury. Um, I was working towards my belt test, um, and I got through the belt test fine, but I really started having lower back issues, L4, L5. Um, I really didn't get a chance to do any type of martial arts for almost 3 years because I just couldn't get it healed correctly. And I had read about a Tai Chi program over at the local hospital uh, in town just close by. And I went over and introduced myself and talked to the instructor, started the class. And it took about 2.5, 3 years, but I was able to actually go back to the hard martial arts and work out again. And I've only had one issue in 7 or 8 years now with my lower back. So I think I feel pretty fortunate with that. And that was a bulge, a disc bulge, that was the issue. So yes, Aaron, to answer your question, I was introduced to Tai Chi because of a lower back injury.
Okay. And for me, I was always into martial arts, and I had shoulder surgery, um, and I knew that I could not do kung fu anymore. So I was searching around, and I kept seeing this sign at a local school, and I said, Tai Chi, kung fu, yoga. So I went in and took it, took a few classes, and I fell in love with it. So I said, this is it. Um, it wasn't a lot of stress on the muscles, and it really helped me. And actually, um, I've had a few other injuries. Recently, a back injury, and it was diagnosed as a compression fracture on my lumbar spine. And it's very slow, deliberate movements from Tai Chi and Qi Kong helped to alleviate the pain. But it took a while. It took months and months and months. In addition to the physical therapy and all that. But this was my medicine, was the Tai Chi and the Qigong.
So this question is for either one of you three because I'm not really into Tai Chi. I saw it and I do want to start practicing it. But if any one of you can answer this question, what is it about Tai Chi that helps the alignment get back? And because again, you said a back injury, Sifu Lester said a back injury, and you had shoulder surgery as well. I think you said a back injury as well.
Hmm.
So what is it about Tai Chi that helps regain that alignment? Even I guess from the outside looking in, it's just like subtle movements. But is there any way that you can describe how the movements actually helps align the spine and in the joints?
What I've seen, Aaron, is that Tai Chi makes you aware of your posture, and it gives you ways to correct your posture, and then also gives you ways to keep it corrected because you repeat it over and over and over. You get some memory thing going, and so you have better alignment. I'm close to 70 years old, and I see other people my age walking humped over, sideways, or shuffling, and I have to feel pretty fortunate that I don't do that. But if I wasn't aware of it and I wasn't working towards a better means, it probably wouldn't have happened.
Right. That actually makes sense because like if you hurt yourself, if you hurt your leg, you would limp on the other leg. You would put more pressure on that other leg, which would then cause an issue on the other leg. But through Tai Chi, because you have a back issue, it's retraining your alignment. So it's actually putting everything back in place the way that it's meant to be, instead of you compensating for that injury by like hunching over or like, messing with the other shoulder or doing things more on the other side of your body is keeping everything in alignment, which makes sense. So I never actually thought of it that way, but thank you for that, Dan.
That was a good, clear explanation. I don't think I can add much to that, other than, it's all based around the idea of being centered, being centered structurally, getting back to the great master Yang Chang Fu's principles, right? Those 10 principles that he talked about. And we talk about one thing in Tai Chi is called being Zong Ding, means centered, and also being Song, which is to be relaxed. So we do our best to maintain those principles in all of our different positions, no matter if we're standing up, bending over, laying down, crawling, whatever. You always want to do it from your center, which goes right back to what you mentioned, Aaron. The center of our body is down at the lower belly, and that's where we focus at. So.
Right, and that's something that I feel like people don't understand. Even with, I'll say, yoga. I know Tai Chi and yoga are two different things, because Tai Chi is a martial art and yoga is not. It's a different type of practice. But to hold a position and to do those movements, even before we started this video, you was telling us about a young lady that said is Tai Chi the slow art. But if you actually try to do it and do it that slow, it's taxing on your muscles, it's taxing on your mentality. To actually practice an art that is so meticulous and you have to actually do it over and over, repetitive, is hard. And people don't understand that you actually train in smaller muscles and tendons over top of underneath of the bigger muscles that people physically see.
Right.
So I have much respect for you guys that train Tai Chi and have been doing it for years, because it's a very disciplined art. It's not just, getting up and punching and kicking and slamming people, all the fun stuff. This is a more disciplined
Sometimes
art.
it is.
Where you have to look inside and really deal with those things on the inside and build it from the inside out.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was just talking to Marcus earlier, and we were talking about a little bit of that. He talking about in MMA, his thing was go to the gym and beat the crap out of the bag, or hit something or whatever to let that stress go. But in our art, like you just mentioned, Aaron, we go inside, so it's nothing to beat on. This is just you, and going slow and dealing with yourself and dealing with that issue. It's a different approach, and it becomes more. It puts our body more into a healing modality, just from the mind being right. So we tap into the parasympathetic, instead of the sympathetic nervous system. So that also has a lot to do with the healing process and the hormones to heal being emitted by our body. So it's a wonderful thing.
There's so much to the healing benefits from Tai Chi and Qigong. I mean, you can go as superficial or as deep as you want, from what Sifu Lester was discussing to the meridians that are all over your body, and tapping into those which tap into your organs. Okay, so it's a really healing art. It's not just moving your arms and kicking your legs.
Right. So can you, Pam, can you tell us a little bit about Qigong? For some people that don't understand the difference between Qigong and Tai Chi, or may not even know what Qigong is.
Well, Qigong goes back down to the breath work, and breath work with the postures. But with Tai Chi, you have forms, and in Qigong you have forms, but it's more focused on the breathing and the relaxation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, I never I just actually, I think it was probably last year that I just saw a video on Qigong, and I didn't know the difference between Tai Chi and Qigong.
Yeah, they're more repetitive movements. So, I mean, you can take a Tai Chi posture and make it a Qigong movement. You know, you could do waving hands like clouds or doing a ward off 15 times, and that could be a Qigong movement. But they do
Okay.
have Qigong forms, but they're really focused more on the healing, the internal portion. For example, you have your 8 pieces of brocade. Okay, each one of those exercises emphasizes different organs and different parts of your body. And in Tai Chi, you have like 24 postures. Okay, so you have different postures to make up the one form. So there's a difference in the Qigong and the Tai Chi.
Also, if I could chip in a little bit on
Sure.
Qigong and the Tai Chi, for example. I'm one to believe that you cannot have Tai Chi without having Qigong,
Mhm.
that they're kind of intertwined.
Right.
Although you can have you can have Qigong without having Tai Chi, you know,
Right.
according to people's understanding. So when you say Tai Chi, that's just basically a principle. But once you add the word Chuan on that Tai Chi, that's more thinking martially. So some people say they practice Tai Chi, and they are, but it's only as a health exercise because it doesn't have the Chuan on it. But you know, it's become more accepted these days that the Tai Chi is just goes either way, martially or not martially. So you have to really know who you're dealing with because someone can tell you that they do Tai Chi and they don't have any idea about martial arts at all. Now, if they tell you they do Tai Chi Chuan, that should specifically let you know that it is martially intended, you know. Now, getting back into the Qigong, although it's breath, we also like to think of energy movement as well. And that's what Pam was talking about, the meridian system, you know, the Chinese acupuncture system and stuff like that, which is pretty deep. You know, they say learning these arts is like getting a graduate's degree, you know, it's high level stuff and it takes a lifetime for us to actually ever master it because you never really do. There's always another level. But I would have to say that getting into the energy work and how to move energy and how to feel your energy and all of these things are real because then you can get into what they call becoming like an energy healer, you know, and working to heal yourself as well as others. You know, some people don't believe in chi, but there's also nations that basically survive off of the understanding that chi is there and they use it as part of their healthcare system. So it is real to some. It just depends on your ability to get in touch with the real deal. I'll say that. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of
Uh,
sense.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to add, Aaron, that Qigong is probably the older practice
Mm.
or the more ancient practice. And Tai Chi is a newer practice, although newer still could be 2,000 years old in Tai Chi.
Mhm.
So it's a traditional Chinese medicine is where the basis come from on both. And it depends on the families that promoted it, that how it developed too. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, going back to what Pam was saying about the meridian lines, I actually just started learning about the meridian lines probably 2 years ago when I got into tapping, which is acupressure. A lot of people know what acupuncture is. That's when they use the needles, which I only did once because I really don't like needles. But acupressure is accessing those same meridian lines inside of your body just by using pressure points on the outside of your body.
Right.
And hitting them. And you don't have to necessarily do it in a certain sequence, but for one of the healing practices that I was learning, it's a certain sequence that you go in. And like Pam was saying, they do access different parts of your body. They access like your lower intestines, your heart, your liver, your lungs, things like that, your brain. So acupressure is an amazing thing as well. And I think I really want to get into Qigong, like all of the healing practices. where you don't necessarily have to use medicine, I think are amazing.
Mhm.
And like Sifu Lester was saying, a lot of people don't really buy into it. And I think the fact that people don't buy into it is the reason why it doesn't necessarily work, because things don't work if you don't buy into it. Not saying that it's fake, but if everybody didn't buy into Christmas, then there wouldn't be a Christmas. Nobody would buy gifts or anything. But
Right.
people bought into it, so it's a Christmas. The more people that buy into it, the more it works. Um, Spirituality, religion, things of that nature. The more people buy into it, it's only fake to the people who don't buy into it, but it's real to the people who live their life that way and buy into it. And I believe that healers can only heal people that match their frequency. So if you match the healer's frequency, then you can be healed by the healer. But if you come and tell me that you're going to heal my neck by just rubbing my neck and I don't believe you, then I'm already closed off to the idea of it actually happening. So it's not necessarily going to happen for me.
Right.
And the mind is a powerful thing, even if it's a placebo effect, which they do a lot of studies in modern medicine with the placebo effect. You could give me a sugar pill and tell me that it's going to heal my whole body. And as long as I believe it, my whole body will be healed because I believe it within my mind, within my body, and my energy is going to heal my body because that's what I believe. So whether you have that capability or not, as long as I match your frequency and you believing that you have that capability to help me, and I believe that you can help me, then we will all be healed. And I think that's one of the great things about one of the videos that I saw about Qigong. It was like every morning, it was like 300 people went out to this park and did Qigong. And it was so healing to the people that was out there. It was old and young people, and they did it every single day. It was a quote unquote religious act. Not really religious, but religious in the fact that they would do it every single day at this time. It was a ritual, it was a routine.
Mhm.
And people got help from that. People who were sick, people who had injuries would go out there and they would do Qigong, and the healing abilities of the art actually helped those people who went out there to train with them.
That's true. Hey, I want to share one thing with you, and I'm going to make it really small because it could be very, very long and very big. But one of those aha moments in my life that made me even solidify my belief more than what it already was. I have at least three or four. But one was one time my mom was sick. I mean, really sick, and she was in the ICU in a coma for several weeks. We came to the point where we were considering pulling the plug. She was on the life support. But anyway, I went to South Carolina and I went into her room, and somehow she and I got into a time and space where nobody was there with just us. The nurses wasn't there, no family members. And I really had no idea what I was doing, I'll be honest with you. But I started breathing with my mom. We can't talk because she's intubated. She's in a coma, full blown. But we started communicating some other way, body language, even without body language. We were already communicating. But long story short, after doing some energy work on my mom, and I don't take claim for any of this, and when I left out of that room, my mom was actually out of the coma and communicating by writing like very scribbly, scrabbly things that you had to figure out what it was. It was that type of thing, but I could figure out what it was even then, and then it was pretty funny. And my mom started communicating with hand squeezes, like squeezing on my hand one time for no or two times for yes. This thing started happening. I never took claim for it, never mentioned it to not one family member, not even my dad. My mom, of course, doesn't even remember. Nobody remembers. But after that, my mom was checked out of that hospital, man, within a couple of days. And I was back in South Florida, and it just blew me away. The whole experience is just mind blowing. And similar situation with my teacher, my Sifu. So nobody can tell me anything that this stuff that it doesn't work. And it requires just what you're saying. You got to be on the same frequency. Both people have to be there together. So
No, I
thank you.
like that. With the frequency, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Especially the way, way Aaron explained it, you know, it, I have acupuncture every other week, and I believe in it.
Mhm.
It relaxes the body, relaxes the muscles, which I really need, and it really opens up the channels. But if you go there and you don't have an open mind and you don't believe in it, it's not going
Mhm.
to work. It is not going to work. Now, it's not going to last for, weeks and weeks, it lasts for a couple of days, but even so,
Right.
if you don't go in there with an open mind for any kind of treatment, any
Mhm.
kind of any of these modalities, it's not going to work.
That's so true. I think
Yeah.
a lot of it goes right back down to this, even with the placebo effect. People, placebo. It's got to be this. The mind is super, super powerful.
Mhm. And Aaron, you talk about mindset a lot in your videos, and I think that's important too. It really helps with you know a person, how they deal in their everyday life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
That's true.
I think that a lot of people have a victim mindset and don't understand that they have a victim mindset.
Mm.
Just because they don't necessarily say that they're a victim doesn't mean that they don't have a victim mindset. But going around with that type of mindset can be detrimental to the people around you as well as yourself, as as like health wise as well. So like if you already go into the fall and winter with the mindset that you're going to catch the flu or you're going to get sick because it happens every year, no matter what you do, you're going to get sick because that's your mindset.
Mhm.
You're going to intensely, or your body doesn't want to make you into a liar. So your body is going to react to the way that you're thinking. So, I could tell you guys I'm the healthiest person in the world. I will always be the healthiest person in the world. But if I don't believe that within myself, that's why sometimes affirmations don't work for people, because you can't use an affirmation that you don't even believe yourself. Just saying the words doesn't really mean anything. But
Right.
if you honestly think that you're going to catch the flu every single year, you could get as many flu shots as you want, and then you're going to catch the flu because that's your mindset. It's a victim mindset of being attacked by colds every year. And there's no way that you could get around it. There's nothing that you can do to avoid it. You could take all the Tylenol, all the ibuprofen, all the children's medicine that you want, you still gonna get the flu because that's what you think, and your cells and your body is gonna make you into the most non-lying person that it can do can be, and you're gonna get the flu. So yeah, I think long story short, your mindset matters a lot, no matter what you do in life. I know I talk about it from when I was a fighter, but also when I was an athlete, when I played football. But that all transitions because you can't do that forever. So it has to transition into real life aspects. It has to transition into real life application. And I try to use that background to just grasp the idea or the thoughts of little kids because they like athletes and they think that athletes are cool, but adults have a hard time shifting their mindset, especially when they've been stuck in it for so long, and they may not want to acknowledge that they have a negative mindset. So yeah, mindset matters a lot.
So Sifu says their lower nature actually likes it there.
Yeah.
They feel comfortable there because it's become them. And whenever they make any conscious effort to move out of that, the lower vibration tells them, "No, come back, man. I don't feel right. I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. Come on back. Come on back. I'd rather be in pain and suffering, man." It's
You
weird, but
know,
it's
though,
really true.
it works just as well the other direction, that if you can break through that barrier and have a positive outlook on life,
Mm-hmm.
martial arts piece by piece can build up your good feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and you can walk with a different posture, you can act with a different posture, you can talk with a different posture, and and a lot of that positive stuff will flow to you.
Mm-hmm. So I would say that would be where you actually had that breakthrough, where you actually raise your vibration, raise your level of consciousness, and now you're living according to your true gene expression. You're really living in your zone now, in your space.
Mhm.
At that point, that's where we're all striving to be from these practices. to use those experiences, those aha moments, and then feel that, and then take
Right.
that and exercise that into other capacities of our life. And then that's when life to me is just abundant and wholesome, you know. But
Well, I think that's where a lot of, like you said, Marcus was saying all he did was go to the gym and hit the bag. I think a lot of the traditional arts were really training people how to do life, even though, you know, martial arts, they were also training you to defend yourself. They weren't training you how to fight. They were training you how to defend yourself, have confidence in yourself, have confidence in your abilities, and training you for life, training your mentality. When I first started training in Shotokan, I learned meditation, and you learn breath work through doing the movements and things like that. But like I said, you can't do that your whole life. So you have to be able to transition that into real life applications, because you can't necessarily teach somebody those things if they don't want to learn martial arts. But you can teach them how to have a good mindset. You can teach them breath work. You can teach them Tai Chi. You can teach them the, how do I say it, like the philosophy of Tai Chi without teaching them the actual art. And they
Right.
may not even know that they're learning the philosophy, but then when you tell them, they,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
Mhm.
They may not even care, but you know, they may be drawn to you because of your art, but not wanting to know the art, but you can still teach them the philosophy that you learned. And a lot of the newer arts don't have that. Going into an MMA gym, I'm going to learn how to take you down and punch you in the face. There's nothing, I can't go home to my kids and teach them a life lesson from that, except for don't get taken down because you're going to get punched in the face. So like, it's nothing today that is teaching you how to do life, like the arts of old.
We call it martial communication. How do you
Good way to
take
put it.
how do you take your martial art inside of your house with your family, inside of your workspace, and have a fruitful relationship? Martial
Well,
communication.
it's all about balance also. If you can balance your learning, I mean, I always feel better if I can learn something. I enjoy learning new things, and I wasn't always that way. So I would say that the training I've had has instilled in me the want and need to keep learning. And what else are we here?
That'll keep you young and jovial too. Having an open mind to always learn, that means the mind is open and the mind is always young and active and want to move and want to learn more. It's not closed and static and like, I don't want to learn anything else. Stop growing, you start dying.
With Tai Chi, there's
If you
always
aren't going
something to
forward,
learn.
you're going backwards.
That's true. What's that, Pam?
I was just saying with Tai Chi, there's always something to learn. It's
Yeah, there is.
Oh man, tell me
lifelong
about it.
commitment. It's a lifelong commitment.
Oh man.
All right, before we get out of here, anybody have any closing words, any other stories?
Oh, we have loads of stories. We'll just have to
Yeah.
save the next time.
That's true. Yeah, let's not give them all everything in one time. Come back and see us.
We'll
Back
save
and
the
see.
stories for next time. We'll start a little series, story time.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Our community enjoyed it. That'd be nice. Well, thanks for all the support. We really appreciate it here at CCH.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure you drop it down in the comment section below. If you want to hear any type of videos from us, just let us know. And we're open to having discussions. If people want to come on the Zoom and have a discussion with us, we're open for that as well. But you guys have to let us know that you're open for that, and we will get back to you as soon as we see your comment down below. So don't be shy. Reach out to us and have an open line of communication.
Okay.
That's what it's all about.
All right.
All right.